Affairs analyst who will be joining us live via Zoom all the way from Sokoto State, Nigeria, and also High Chief Peter Ame, who will be joining us much later. He is the National Secretary Coalition of United Political Parties and also the ex-IPAC chair. Now, here is a quick background to the conversation. I mean, yesterday, the INEC chairman, Professor Joash AMUPITAN, SAN, was actually... All right. Could you please turn on your camera, if you don't mind? A more transparent process. And we also saw Simon Lalong raise concerns around the poor performance, specifically asked to know what the INEC chair would do to avert future, reoccurrence of, such issues. I mean, the last general elections, we heard, concerns around technical glitches, hitches and what have you. And another question bothered on proper utilization of funds that would be approved for the conduct of the next, general election, ensuring the integrity INEC and security agencies to intimidate voters on election day was also, a focal point of discussion yesterday whilst the screening, took place. And Senator Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, of Sokoto State, your beloved state, by the way, amendment to further improve election outcomes, but we hear that there is a huge clause attached to that right now. But AMUPITAN, that's the INEC chairman, he had actually suggested the creation of an electoral offences commission and whistleblowing, policy to checkmate the conduct of offences by voters and compromise, and INEC staff. And also a widely debated issue was raised by, fortunately not addressed by Professor AMUPITAN, but I would also like you to, respond to that one, whether you see it becoming a burden to the electoral umpire, looking at the number of local government and area councils that we have in Nigeria. He rightly, clarified, and also dismissed claims that he was part of the president's legal team for the 2023 presidential election. Now, these are some of the key takeaways from that screening exercise yesterday for us, Dr. Ibrahim Shatam. But short, you've been, seeing reactions and counter reactions, trailing the screening exercise to the point where Professor AMUPITAN was confirmed by the Senate as, the chairman of, the electoral umpire. It's a new era, whether we like it or not, for Nigeria's democracy and electoral system. But what exactly, is your conclusion from the way the INEC chairman was screened yesterday? Following the live stream yesterday or the live broadcast, Dr. Ibrahim Shatambaya, we even saw comments, from viewers, online, who somewhat expressed reservations with the conduct of the Senate president and the Hallowed Chamber, in terms of answering and also of interjection here and there, by the Senate president. Do you think that was really, a professional thing to do, looking at how critical the electoral umpire is and how complex and maybe delicate the electoral system has been in Nigeria?
Yes, I think first and foremost, the appointment of the new INEC chairman who was confirmed yesterday is a testament to the fact that as a democratic system, we are doing everything possible to ensure that the procedural nature of our democracy is actually taken care of adequately, right, such that there is no gap, such that there is no gulf, so much so that the processes associated with political recruitment in the country will actually not be altered on account of not doing the needful in terms of appointments and in terms of making available the required resources for the processes that are associated with political recruitment, particularly the issue of election is concerned. And let me state here clearly that the political elites and the governing elites are very much interested in the issues of election much more than any other aspect of democracy. And that is why they will do everything possible to make sure that election is not hampered, election actually takes place, and all the necessary arrangements is made so that they could continue to have their way as far as having access to the resources of this country is concerned. And this explains why immediately after the tenure of the immediate past INEC chair, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, elapsed, the government did not actually waste any time in ensuring that a new appointee was brought on board, and processes were made to actually fast track his confirmation, which was consummated yesterday.
Right.
That being said, I think we need to equally affirm that the current National Assembly that we have, particularly the Senate chamber, has proved beyond reasonable doubt that it is actually ready to do the bidding of the executive, to make sure that everything is done possible to please the powers that be, as far as the executive arm of government is concerned at the federal level. So it's not surprising the interjection that we have seen and all the comments that were passed, as well as the remediations that were made to actually ensure that a candidate that was selected by the president and forwarded to the National Assembly do not encounter any hitch leading to his confirmation. And that is what we saw yesterday. Well, I equally need to make this point. I am not in any way actually having reservations about the capacity of the candidate or the substantive INEC chairman, as it were. He's somebody who is respected on account of the fact that he belongs to the ideological apparatus. That is, he's a teacher at the university level and has risen to the ranks, both academically and administratively. Academically, he's a professor, which is the peak of any academic endeavor, and he held the position of the BBC Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration of the University of Jos. That is on the one hand. On the second hand, he is a senior advocate of Nigeria,
right,
on account of his knowledge of law and practice over the years. And we know once you are a senior advocate, it means a senior advocate of Nigeria, it means you have reached the echelon as far as the practice of law is concerned. So with these features, one could actually say that he is somebody who we believe will be able to be neutral and to be able to be efficient and effective in terms of managing the responsibilities that is associated with the office that he actually holds. That is clear on account of this feature. However, we have seen situations whereby people with integrity, people with credibility, people with name, who will actually, with image to protect, having found themselves in one position of authority or the other, will stoop low to actually compromise on the ethics and professionalism that they stood for before finding themselves in a particular office. I hope this will not be the fate of Professor AMUPITAN. We are hoping that on account of the positions he took in the course of the screening, promising to actually do the needful in order to deliver the electoral umpires and institutions in this country, to deliver elections that are acceptable, elections that are credible, and to turn around the future of democracy in this country on account of being actually efficient and effective in managing the electoral process. We are hoping that these promises will come to stay, and all of us will actually reap positively from his administration that is just beginning. But for the National Assembly, I think it is not unusual, given what they have done to actually protect and defend at all costs the interest of the executive so far.
All right. To defend the interest of the executive. Now, that speaks volumes, Dr. Ibrahim Shatambaya, but I'll just, allow that to rest for now. And before we talk about other, several key priorities that were outlined by Professor AMUPITAN yesterday, we understand that there are also plans to review lecturers' roles, in the conduct of elections in Nigeria. You are a senior lecturer at Usman Danfodio University. University in Sokoto. What exactly do you make of this? Because as it is, I mean, as we speak at the moment, I mean, there are, how will I put it now? Maybe some Nigerians are quite, pleased with this, recommendation that that process be reviewed. I mean, where we have lecturers, be part of, the electoral process, be it as, collation officers or what have you. They think is a timely step towards strengthening the integrity of Nigeria's electoral process. And do you really see any need to conduct a comprehensive review, aimed at, strengthening, of course, strengthening the electoral system is a step in the right direction, but a comprehensive review by way of, looking at the activities of lecturers over the years and the conduct of election, is it a misplaced priority, or is something we should not even lose sleep over?
Yes, when we talk about review in respect to participation of members of the academia in the conduct of the election, I wouldn't know clearly what that would mean, whether it will mean to actually stop involving lecturers in the conduct of the elections. I don't really get that very clearly.
During the session, I'm sorry to butcher. Let's see if we can clarify that a little bit. During the session yesterday, some senators actually alleged that several professors who previously served as returning officers, they failed the integrity checks, and they also questioned, whether the INEC chairman would discontinue their use in future elections. But one would have thought that the role of lecturers, as returning officers or whatever role it is that it will be saddled with, would bring about some sort of integrity to the system. You have monitored elections over the years. Would you say that some of these, officers drawn from, the academic sector, would you say they've also compromised over the years? And thus, it's just okay that we review, their roles in the conduct of elections?
Yes. Let me start by saying that we found ourselves in a very dire situation in this country on account of the very compromising values that majority of citizens of this country actually holds. I said compromising values on account of the materialistic tendencies of most Nigerians, both educated and uneducated. We have really prioritized using opportunities to actually see how we can bring personal personal material benefits to ourselves. That being said, I think we equally need to emphasize that despite the challenges associated with our elections in this country, the fact that we've had elections that people have accepted as elections, that people have come to terms with the outcomes of those elections and recognize people in positions of authority as being products of those elections, is because of the role that academic staff have actually played in the conduct of the elections. Take away the participation of members of academic staff from the elections, as it were, in this country from 1999 to date, probably we don't have been operating a democracy today. That should be recognized. This is because members of the academia are people who have actually distinguished themselves as having some degree of integrity, some degree of values, some degree of nationalism, some degree of patriotism, some degree of belief that things should be done right. And when you isolate members of the academic staff, particularly from universities, with other categories of people in Nigeria, and begin to compare the principles that they actually stand for, you discover that the difference is clear. Now, that is not to say that 100% academic staff are actually shirked from the tendencies of the larger society.
Right.
In every segment, in every group, no matter how clean or no matter how principled the section we are talking about is, they are bound to be bad eggs. And this is agreed. Even among the academic staff, there are people whose values have been compromised. But that is not to say that the majority are operating at this level.
Right.
So I agree that there is need to actually come up with procedures, come up with processes, and come up with strategies to actually identify those academic staff that should not be given opportunities to actually play certain roles as far as the conduct of the elections is concerned. But as it is today, whether we like it or not, academic staff of Nigerian universities still play strategic roles in the successful conduct of elections in Nigeria.
Right.
And as it is, I don't think there is any other group of people in this country that could actually replace academic staff in terms of carrying out the respective roles that they are known to actually perform in the course of elections.
Right.
But I agree, there are certain compromises here and there, and INEC, under the leadership of AMUPITAN, is supposed to streamline strategies and measures to ensure that only those that actually holds the required principles, those with the necessary values to actually add value to the process of election in Nigeria in terms of its credibility, in terms of its integrity, and in terms of its efficiency and effectiveness, should be given opportunities to actually play roles as it relates to different functions that are associated with conduct of elections in this country.
All right, Dr. Ibrahim Shatambaya. I mean, from 2005 up until this moment, we've seen professors, study affairs of the nation's electoral umpire, and it brings to mind, yes, of course, it brings to mind whether or not it's going to be business as usual, or we should expect something completely or entirely different, with this new era that we have. So, how optimistic are you that Professor Joash AMUPITAN SAN would indeed change, the tides for Nigeria and Nigerians as the electoral, umpire chair?
Yes, you see, it's still related to what I just finished saying about members of the academia. Despite their principles, despite the ideas that they stand for, and despite their belief in actually ensuring that things are done the right way, they operate within the Nigerian system. Being the chair of INEC as a professor does not mean that you can perform magic, because the role of managing institutions as critical as INEC is one that is suggestive of working with a number of stakeholders, both within the institution and outside the institution, and even outside the political system. And this explains why a lot of development actors have been involved directly or indirectly in one way or the other in the conduct of elections. And all these stakeholders actually have certain level of influences on the outcome of elections.
Okay.
There are core staff of INEC who have been there for years, who have actually participated directly or indirectly in facilitating some of the challenges that INEC is actually experiencing at the moment. And the new INEC chairman, who is a professor, is still have to work within the confines of this group of people.
All right.
So there is no magic that a professor will perform. A single individual could unilaterally perform. But I have to actually state that on account of the nature of the training and experiences of members of the university who have been given opportunities to actually spearhead positions of authority in INEC, directly or indirectly, they are placed in a position to be able to influence changes, to bring in improvements in the way and manner in which the activities of INEC is being conducted. If you take, if you look at the performance and the administration of Professor Jega up until Mahmoud Yakubu, you will realize that there are certain improvements that have been brought on board under the leadership of these renowned individuals who are members of the academia in this country.
Right.
From Jega's era up until now, the focus has been on using technological advances to actually add value to the electoral system. And that has been done incrementally. We have seen now an electoral system that actually makes it very, very impossible for somebody who is not registered to actually come and vote. This was not the case pre-Jega's administration. We are now moving gradually towards an era in which votes that are being cast will be collected electronically, and on account of that, the cumulative of all the votes in the country will actually be deduced through the website before it is being announced officially. So these are all incremental strategies that have been adopted by various leaders of INEC who happen to be professors from the university.
All right.
In terms of other aspects of the conduct of elections in Nigeria, if you look at the electoral policies that actually guide the conduct of elections, you could trace how incrementally we have moved from one electoral law to the other. As we speak, there is one before the National Assembly at the moment, and hopefully before the 2027 elections or 2026 elections, as the case may be,
right,
we are likely to have a new electoral act that will actually spearhead, that will actually guide the conduct of subsequent elections in this country. So in terms of the procedures of the conduct of elections, in terms of the policies and laws that actually guide the conduct of elections, in terms of best practices, these professors have actually given their all to ensure that they reposition INEC from what it was before they came in to a new INEC that will actually live up to the expectations of Nigeria as well as meet up with international best practices.
All right.
We are still far from that level, but incrementally we are heading towards that direction.
Okay. All right. Public affairs analyst Dr. Ibrahim Shatambaya, thank you so much for talking to us on the show this morning.
Thank you.
All right. It is still Eagles Outlook right here on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja, and we are assessing the promises that have been made, by the new INEC chair, Professor Joash AMUPITAN SAN, and of course the task ahead. We'll take a quick break now to go pay some bills, and when we return, we're going to be linking up with the National Secretary, Coalition of United Political Parties, High Chief Peter Ame. He will be joining us live via telephone to talk about the critical tasks ahead of AMUPITAN. From rebuilding public trust to addressing electoral violence, improving electoral technology and promoting reforms, amongst other things. Do join us again.
Any motor where you dey drive, you need confirm protection, no, for your engine, no. Make a mobile, make it mobile, oh, make it mobile, yeah. Anywhere you dey, your motor deserve to be number one, yo. Make it mobile, oh, make it mobile, yeah. If you carry the go, make everybody join me, say, make it mobile.
Make you go with the best.
Make it mobile.
Get ready, Nigeria! The biggest cyber event for young minds is here again. It's the Nigeria Teen Cyber Festival, NG Teen Cyber Fest 4.0, happening live on Thursday, October 23rd, 2025, at the African University of Science and Technology, Galadimawa, Abuja. This year's theme is Innovate Securely, empowering young people in AI, cyber resilience, and digital leadership. It is a celebration of the World Cybersecurity Awareness Month and the unveiling of the CC Pro Cybersecurity comic book. Time is 8 a.m. prompt. Don't miss a chance to learn, connect and lead in the digital world. For your school to attend, register for free. Call Linda on 081 13380604 or Zubairu on 070 4417. Proudly brought to you by CC Pro Child Protection Initiative against cybercrime. Media partners: Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, Municipal FM, IT Edge News Africa. See you there.
Things they happen for our community, eh?
Now I can recoup family.
Let's go and greet them, okay? Let's go and greet them, okay?
Join Media Coalition and awareness human trafficking out of our society. I Wish I Knew radio drama and program is brought to you by Mikas and funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
All right, welcome back and thank you so much for live on Eagles FM 102. Chairman Professor Joash Amkafez analyst Dr. Ibrahim Shatambaya, who joined us live via Zoom all the way from Sokoto State, Nigeria, and this very topical issue. So currently making efforts to link up with High Chief Peter Ame to be part of the show. In the meantime, if you're listening out there, you can call in to share your thoughts. If you've actually monitored the analysis thus far, tell us what exactly you make of it, and what exactly do you think from your own perspective? What do you think would be the most critical task ahead of the new INEC, chairman, Professor Joash AMUPITAN? And do you really take it upon yourself to monitor the live broadcast yesterday? What are some of the key takeaways for you? When you look at the promises that have been made by the new INEC chair, how realistic are they? Well, he has actually, promised, a number of things, from rebuilding public trust, of which so many know, cases of electoral violence, and improving electoral, technology, enhancing security, and also promoting reforms. Well, the INEC man had rightly mentioned yesterday that under his watch, we're going to have elections, conducted in such a way that the loser would wholeheartedly call the winner to congratulate him or her, by way of conceding defeat, and, also to say that indeed it's been a credible process. I mean, how realistic do you think that would be in the long run, especially now that we are gearing up for the next, general elections in Nigeria? Well, the network is trying to play a fast one on us this morning, but we are not, deterred. We're going to keep trying to see how we can link up with Chief Peter Ame. But in time, call this morning, dear listener, to be a part of a conversation. You can leave a voice note or a message on the WhatsApp portal, and that will be 090-9705-44 and 50. To those watching us live on YouTube and Facebook, you can equally leave a comment, across these platforms, and of course, we'll be very glad to acknowledge your thoughts. All right, I see a message right here. Okay, let's see if we can take this call. Hello, good morning to you.
Come, I want the chairman of Electoral Empire. I'm just begging him by the name of God Almighty that both of us have who created both of us to do that tax in a way that God will not forgive him, will not forget him, and we human beings can never forget it, because politics in this country. We are not quarreling. We are not quarreling against one another in this, but our colonial masters have used that evil in politics to scatter more and more this country in a higher order. Look at a home and country, a country that God has overblessed, both human and also natural resources. And now we are not beggars every day. School leavers are no way to define in terms of employment. What to do so? Look at insecurity here and there. Let this man know that the life of 200 and something million Nigerians are in his hands. Anyway, if you play well, the posterity and also legacy can never forget him. And Nigerian people can never forget him.
All right.
That is my only topic. That's my only information. Okay. God will bless Nigeria. Nigeria is going to be. And God will bless you people. These crew members of.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Prince Ike from Old Caramel. Thank you very much for your contribution this morning on the show. All right. Let's see if we can still link up with High Chief Peter Ame. It's very, very important for us to get his own perspective, to this issue, especially loopholes, for very realistic electoral reforms in Nigeria. But the network is really, really not in our favor this morning. So we'll just proceed with contributions from the listener on the other. Blessing from where?
From Number.
All right, please go ahead.
I just tuned into the radio and I'm hearing your voice. I have something that by midday I want to ask.
Okay, Blessing, I'm sorry. This is, a political talk show at the moment. And if you have personal observations that are completely different from what, we're discussing on the show, please use the WhatsApp studio number to press home your demands. The WhatsApp studio number is 090-9705-4450. Thank you very, very much. Hello and good morning to you.
Yeah. Hello?
Hello, Honorable Edward, is that you? Good morning.
Almost a good morning.
Good morning
once again.
to you. Right. Please, you have 1 minute. Right.
Yeah, thank you. I listened to the INEC boss. He spoke very well. And my observation is just very simple. The man is from the North Central, which is my zone. He's from Kogi State. But which part of Kogi State? I didn't take note of that. Because there were some sentiment before this appointment. Because Kogi has Yorubas. So which part of Kogi State? And then if I may ask, go deeper, ask, who appointed Jega as chairman? I think by this we should now be able to know how he's going to work.
Okay.
And his agenda.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Edward. And I recall very clearly that we did clarify, where Professor AMUPITAN, comes from. And that was on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. But let's hear from High Chief Peter Ame.
Hello.
Good morning to you, High Chief. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
All right. I mean, it's been quite a difficult task, trying to link up with you. The network reception has been poor. We understand you are, in transit at the moment. But again, it says a lot about internet connectivity and how poor the reception, has been, especially coming from these network service providers. I know that the newly appointed INEC chair did assure Nigerians that he would be collaborating with the likes of NIMC, the NCC, and, networks to ensure a more credible process come 2027 or 2026 as it were. But if you indeed monitor the screening exercise yesterday, Chief Peter Ame, there are key takeaways really to look at for, but I would like us to focus solely on the critical task that you think lies ahead for AMUPITAN. He did also assure Nigerians that he would work towards rebuilding public trust. Now, a number of Nigerians have reservations when it comes to the conduct of the electoral umpire. How do you think the INEC chairman should go about rebuilding public trust?
It's clear what he has said. For public trust to be rebuilt in the system, it has to take a fact that when winners should be able, losers should be able to congratulate winners and those who were elected announced at the election. Right. And that has to come for the fact that the commissioners don't have to make promises and fail on them. The commission don't have to make provisions and regulations in their guidelines and then turn back to say, the guidelines are not in the electoral act. The commission must be guided by the principle of transparency, and at the end of the day, after election, the review is done so that you can also have accountability. It is in this process that you can build confidence in the trust of it, because without anything done in in secrecy that is not, that is obscure. People start to now infer, have different interpretation, electoral amendment, to be able to get transparency. Transparency is the fact that those are the aim of affairs of the commission, detach themselves from the appointing of so that not only judicialization of our election, where judiciary is not the declaring winner, instead of the electorate being those declaring winner. And that's why my takeaway from him is just those declaring winner. And that's why my takeaway from him is just very important that losers should congratulate winners. And that's very key for us.
All right, congratulating winners. I mean, High Chief Peter Ahmed, in the case of former President Goodluck Jonathan and the late, former President Muhammad Buhari, may he so rest in peace, he did concede defeat. Was that not because he actually said that, the blood of, Nigerians, or, it's not really worth, the office of, the president? Don't you think he only considered defeat for peace to reign as opposed to indeed accepting defeat that he lost woefully?
I cannot use 2015 as a benchmark for a credible election. I can tell you that because I was part of, I was the IPAC secretary. I was at the Police Center. I saw how Kano results came. I think that was on a personal ground. Not that the election was truly transparent. Not that the election was truly fair. Okay. There were 2 million votes on Kano. There was no void vote. There was no council vote. And everybody who accredited in the election voted, which is impossible anywhere in the world. So, but for me, all I'm saying is that for going forward, it shouldn't be dependent on people who are commission to bear the burden of the errors of the commission, bear the burdens of the misplacement of priorities of the commission. It should be about the commission setting things right, so that every person will not have to sacrifice their mandate. They don't have to be unjustly mandate is not unjustly taken away from them. So that is the responsibility of the commission. And today, that responsibility now falls under the leadership of Joash Ojo AMUPITAN. So live up to that responsibility. He's coming with the credentials that are very encouraging from law, from evidence books that he has written, from all the lectures he has taken, and for the fact that he has also talked about the impunity clause in the Constitution, how it has been abused in Africa. So the critical takeaway is that responsibility is his own, and he has made promises, and we will watch and see that he live up to that reputation, and we'll give him the benefit of doubt. And another election is coming. He should make sure that yes, do you want to clear the names of the commission? Do you want Nigerians to trust in the commission? The voter party today is at the highest level. The trust in the commission is about, which if you look at Afrobarometer, it's about 26% the trust that is in INEC today. So if he has to make it work, what he should do is to make sure that the elections in Anambra reflect the true meaning of confidence, of transparency, of accountability, by making sure that the IRF is used also to use the beavers to transform to put all the Form CSA at the IRF at every polling unit. So that will bring the confidence back to the commission. So it's clear these are the most important thing to do, because if you can't do that in the Anambra election, you can't do that in the Osho election. It will be difficult for us to have confidence that you will do it in 179,000 polling units across Nigeria 2027. So these are critical points you must take away from his screening. He has been confirmed. People have confidence in him. People see that he has not been. If you look at the cases Nigerians can always dig things out from people when you are announced as a political based on political appointment. If you are announced, but everybody has tried to dig something about the goalkeeper professor, and nothing has been seen. So it is shown that he has lived up his life in a very diligent manner. That diligence and that reputation is carrying. It's not a responsibility for him to bring it into the commission, to make the commission a new commission, a repaid commission that can make sure the aspirations and the wishes of our people are maintained at the ballot.
All right, Chief Peter, I'm right there. But let's dwell a little bit more on improving electoral technology. I mean, upgrading and auditing electoral technology systems to prevent glitches and ensure transparency. Yesterday, he actually said something about collaborating with NIMC, NCC, and network service providers. Do you think that will bring about a very, very bogus, cost implication for subsequent elections in the country? And then how do you juxtapose that side by side, monies that would be approved for the conduct of, subsequent elections? How well can these monies be properly utilized?
The way we have the problem with the money utilization of that they are budgeted for INEC is the failure of the most responsible arm to carry out tasks of oversight, carry out tasks of looking at the expenditure book of INEC that has failed. That institution is the National Assembly. The National Assembly power rests upon them to carry out oversight functions on the activities and spending of INEC. But that is where the problem is. When it comes to NIMC, NIMC is just a data collection agency. They have data in their hands, with a tag with a NIM number and all that. INEC also has its own well-established data that is very solid that he has. The problem now is that can INEC be able to weed out persons who are no longer alive from his database? Can they be able to do that? So they need to be able to collaborate with the death record of the country so that we don't have a bogus voter register that does not really reflect the true numbers of the people, because daily people are losing their lives. Daily new children, people are getting to 18 years old. INEC captured that effectively. Everybody that gets to 18 years old, if any registration that comes, people will get on board. But how do they weed out the people? They have also be able to deal with double registration, which is tough with what they have done. So, but they need to be able to look at all these things so that we don't have unwieldy voter register that cannot be reliable. So we also need that the fact that INEC should not collaborate. INEC is an independent agency. Too much collaboration with the executive arm must also have interference on the commission. Because every other thing you are seeing, yes, INEC was appointed by the president, but you can see the process, the buffer process of making sure that it is insulated and properly giving the strength of defense, and making sure that this nomination goes to Council of State or Council of State to the National Assembly. So it's critical to see that INEC too much collaboration should be based solely on his ability to develop an internal mechanism that will be effective and should be giving a defense from external interference. Okay. So that is where the technology part is very important to us.
Okay. All right. I mean, on a final note, if you can address this in a minute, 30 seconds, I think that would be perfect because of time. Now, a widely debated issue was actually raised yesterday at the Senate by Senator Tahir Mongunu concerning the conduct of local government elections. Do you see this becoming a burden to the electoral umpire looking at the number of local government and area councils in Nigeria? As to whether or not the electoral umpire, at the national level should be saddled with the responsibility or the conduct of local government elections across the country?
The problem we have with the two, whether the INEC, whether the state independent electoral commission, is the fact that both of them are captured, like the state independent are captured as state executive bodies. INEC in section 133 is captured as federal executive body. We need to take both of them from both state executive body and federal executive body and make them solely independent, because it is wrong. We are a federating unit. For us to take a national electoral system to conduct election for the federating unit. So we can also make and work, put proper infrastructure in place to make sure that we insulate both state independent electoral commission and national independent electoral commission from the interference of both the political arms. These interference are there both at the federal and the local level. So it is clear that I do not want all this. Before, I used to be one of the people who proposed that INEC should take over the functions of local government elections. But we are looking at the body. We are looking at our constitution. We cannot just at once destroy the constitution that is we have federating unit all because we want to correct an error and further overpower the center across Nigeria. The center is already too powerful as it is. So what we should do is to continue to divulge power, make necessary regulation and laws and guidelines that can isolate them from all level of the executive interference.
All right. I think a yes or no response would do, so we can wrap up the conversation. Do you see Professor AMUPITAN, changing the narrative for Nigeria and its electoral process come 2026 or 2027, as it were?
I really wish that he can write his name in gold, but the heart of man is not something anybody can reach. AMUPITAN is from North Central. It's from Kogi State. I'm also from Kogi State. So it is on my heart that I genuinely want to wish him that he makes sure that this reputation that he has guided and is being an elder in his faith should guide him as making sure that he builds up a system that the son of man born in Ayetoro, in his own town, in Kaba, should be able to have the opportunity to contest election without having to father. He should also be very confident at the end of his tenure that Nigerians can, rejoice that he has served well, not in a sober reflection. Because if you look at Riela Odinga, who died in Kenya just some days ago, his burial was a carnival. People were mourning, people were crying, people were rejoicing that a good man had gone. And this shows who saw and did the best for